everyone, I'm Karen from the Santa Clara County Library District. I'm one of the many children's librarians here. And today, for our very first summer craft project that we're going to do, we're going to be making sculptures using pony beads and perler beads and all kinds of beads to give us some color. So to get started, we are going to need some floral foam. I have a block of it here. You know, it comes in many different sizes and shapes. You can cut it down if you want to, but it's got a nice dense texture that the wire will stick into. We need some floral wire. I have some stem wire that I got that's already cut into strips before I bought it, but it also comes wrapped in rolls that you can cut down to the size that you need. We're going to need some sharp scissors or some wire cutters if you happen to have them. And if you happen to be younger, you may need to have one of your adults help you cut that down because it does take a bit of hand strength. And then we also need some beads. I've got some pony beads here in a jar. I have some miniature perler beads right here. I've got beads with letters, you know, whatever sizes and shapes that you have. And what we're going to do is create something like this. And you can see here, the wire is sticking into the foam, and I went with a very general freeform pattern, but you could always do something a little bit more structured. I even included my name. So to get started, I'll put this one aside, and I have another block here that I'm going to start fresh with. And now I have a longer piece of wire here. And I don't actually want to use one this long. I'm going to cut it in half just to get a smaller shape. And that's where the sharp scissors and where the wire cutters come in. So definitely ask for help if you need it. And I'm going to start with some of my beads right here, the ones that say read. I already picked them out because I didn't have to dig through the whole bag to find the letters for you. So I'll just string them on here. Read, just like that. And I think what I want to do is actually have it sit flat here on the wire. So I'm going to bend it right there because that's what will go into the foam. And you want to give yourself, you know, a good inch or so to stick into the foam. And I'm going to add some of my colorful perler beads here. And I'm just going to do this randomly. So whatever I pinch out of the jar, I will start stringing this on the wire like this. And you could do it any way that you want. I still have more wire than I actually need, so I'm going to bend this down. And I'm just going to cut off this extra piece here. It's a little tough. Okay, and this one, I'm just going to stick it right here. And it's going to go all the way down. And that seems like a good place to start. Now, I really like those curly cues. And to do that, I took a long piece of wire. I just have a thick marker here. And I wrapped the wire around the marker. Just like this. Around and around and around. Okay, and so I have a coil of wire here, and all I did was pull that apart till it was as long as I wanted it to be. And I straightened out one end, because that's what will get stuck into the foam. And then I wind up with this spring-looking coil. And so I'm going to actually just stick it in here, and I can do this at an angle because the floral foam is dense and will hold that in place. So I've got my bag of beads here, and again, I like the randomness of color, but you could definitely make a, oh, I lost a bead, but you could definitely make a pattern. And I'm just gonna start by threading it onto the wire. Definitely going to have some beads to pick up by the end of this. That's all right. Art can be a little messy sometimes. We just have to pick up when we're done. And we'll just spread it around. And maybe you have different kinds of beads and you can mix up the style of the bead to get a pattern to it if you wanted. You can mix up the colors. And depending on how intricate your sculpture is, it may take a while for you to finish. So a few more beads on there. It'll take me a while to bead this entire spiral, so I don't think I'm going to do it all right now. But I certainly want you to fill up your sculpture with color, whatever it is. And it's okay if there's two beads of the same color next to each other. That is the way of randomness. And you know what, I've got some short ones here. I think I might want to use a smaller marker this time to make a smaller coil. Make it a little more dense, and you could make several of these. There we go. And just kind of shape it around as you want. Stick it in there, and I can use a smaller bead like this that will go around the tightness of that coil. It's a little tricky here to get these little beads on. Good for your fine motor skills. Lots of color. I'll add a few more. You know, it's great to put on some music too at the same time. Listen to some music, do a little beading here. It can be very relaxing. And so these smaller beads work well on a tighter coil. They can handle, oh, I lost another bead. Oh my goodness. They can handle going around those curves. You know, and you could, again, you could do something like this where it's just one bead and you make a pattern straight onto the foam. You could take a wire like this and make some interesting shapes with it. See what happens. Maybe I can twist it around itself a little bit. It is bendable. Oh, goodness. I would try not to get too tight of a bend like this because it'll be difficult for the beads to go around. And you know, you can stick one side in there, and depending on, I have a different set of colors here. I could take some of these and just start feeding them on. Just like this. Okay, and that's really all there is to it. We just have to keep going and going until you're happy. And now the thing with these kind of sculptures, you can decide how many or how few beads you want to have on each wire. It doesn't have to be one solid set of beads, which is what I did in this example where I filled up the entire wire with beads. But you know, part of creating a design is sometimes having a little bit less and whatever looks good. We'll just keep adding some beads on. Let's see, put some of those on. You know what, I'll take one of these bigger beads. Let's see what happens. Put it on. It's just fine. Off we go. Now it might be easier for you if you wanted to thread some of the beads before you put the wire into the foam. That works too. Keep going here. You know, and you can be creative. There's nothing to say you can't stick the wire end into the side of the foam block and have it coming off the side. And so there's a coil there. And you know what? I think I might put a few more beads on my smaller one right here. Keep threading them on as you go. So you get some fun some fun 3D shapes going on. Now I'm not gonna finish all of this, but it's meant to give you an idea as to what you can do, and you can fill it up with as much or as little as you want. You could even try, I'm going to cut another one of these things down, and I'll use my big marker again, and instead of going in circles, I'm going to make back and forth loops, just bending around the marker. Until I get kind of a squiggly thing going on. And you can bend this around. And you know, this almost reminds me of an octopus. Like that could be its head, and you could get a few more wires, and that could be its arms. That could be interesting. I wonder, I haven't tried this before, but let's bend it a little bit and squeeze a bead on here. Oh, tight, tight, tight. There we go. And come back and loosen it up and get an effect like that. And if he's an octopus, then he definitely needs a few more arms. I'm going to cut this down. And I could feed it through here like this. Kind of just bend it around. That's kind of cool. I'll add another one in there. Look at that. And I could then take some beads that I keep dropping on the floor. So you can see right now it moves around a whole bunch, but after you string some beads on here, whoops, oh well, you can always put more on when they fall off. And I'll just stick that little end in there like that, and I could do more on the next one. A few beads there. And I'll stick the end of that right into the foam. Ah, and out it came. It's all right. We can see where our hole is, so we'll just stick it right back in there. There we go. Now it's even possible with some of these, And depending on how strong your fingers are, that after you get as many beads on as you want, instead of sticking it to the foam, you can curl, do another bead here. You can curl the end around and wrap it around the wire so that the beads don't come off. It holds it up. And then you could have a piece that sticks up into the air like this one is doing. So I definitely encourage you to add as much or as little as you want and make something interesting to look at. Once you have finished your sculpture, we would love to see what you've created. So take a picture of it and you can come to our kids art gallery on the Santa Clara County website on the kids in the kids area and share your picture with us. And then in 2 weeks on June 15th, we're going to have our next kids art club, and this will be creating Pollock paintings. There's a few examples for you to see. It will be streamed on our Facebook page live at 3 o'clock. And it's also going to be posted onto our YouTube channel. So you can always come back and watch the wire sculpture again or the Pollock painting whenever you have a chance to do it, or if you needed to see a certain section again. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy making your sculptures, and we will see you later.